comments on the previous minutes? If not, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 5th.
Support. Okay, motion been made and supported. We approve the last month's minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay, clerk.
Yep. We have 3 letters that we've received regarding the windmill farms. So I'm going to read one of them, but one of them's really long, so I'm just going to tell you they're not in favor of it, okay? But this one, this lady asked us to read it, so. The subject of wind turbines will be discussed at the meeting held on November 7th. The current pandemic prevents me from attending the township meeting. However, I want my voice to be heard on the subject. My family has been on Derby Lake for 63 years. I would like to call attention to the Michigan Township Ordinance Act 246 of 1945. It states, an act to authorize township boards to adopt ordinances and regulations to secure the public health, safety, and general welfare, to provide for the establishment of a township police department, to provide for policing of townships by certain law enforcement officers and agencies, to provide for the publication of ordinances, to prescribe powers and duties of township boards and certain local and state officers and agencies, to provide sanctions, and to repeal all acts and parts of acts in conflict with the act. All members of the township board need to review this guidance. It is your duty to secure the public health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of Sidney Township. As a board member, you must listen to the members of this community regarding wind turbines. Your vote must represent the voice of this community. I realize there are a few landowners who have already signed agreements with the wind turbine companies and accepted initial payments. Any landowner who has already signed agreements must not be allowed to vote on the issue as there is a direct conflict of interest. The health, safety, and welfare of the community must not be sacrificed for the benefit of a few landowners who will benefit financially. The benefit of the wind turbines doesn't make up for the loss in property values, well-being of those who have to live near the turbine noise and shadow flickering. In all the reading that I've done, there has not been any mention of reduced electric bills for the community that turbines are installed in. Therefore, the wind turbine companies produce free energy from the wind and sell it to utility companies. The utility companies, in turn, sell it back to us. Perfect. So who gets rich? Obviously, the wind turbine companies. The community is left with large, massive, white spinning turbines, noise, flicker both day and night, and lower property values. What's wrong with this picture? Research that I've done show that turbines need to be at least 2 miles from homes to avoid an adverse effect as far as noise and loss of property value. Derby Lake has bald eagles. The bald eagle was on the Endangered Species Act from 1978 to 2007. Wind turbines kill many birds when they hit the massive blades. The bald eagle hunting range stretches many miles from their nest. Thank you for listening to my concerns, Pat Evans. And then I have 2 other ones, and Terry said he got one in the mail today, but I haven't got my mail today. So.
Well, the one I got today was from the Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
Can you have the name?
The other 2 letters? Sure. Please get find them. One was from Mrs. Lynn Henschel, which was actually written to Judd Welder, and they forwarded to us. And who's this one from? This one is from Robert and Kay Scott, Northland Drive in Grand Rapids. And that's a property around here.
And who was the Jehovah's Witness?
I don't know, I haven't got that yet.
It was just,
They have property on Nevin.
yeah,
Okay.
Do they have names?
that where they're at.
How did you know it's Jehovah's Witness?
Well, do they have names, whether they're a Jehovah's Witness?
I don't have it with me. So.
Okay.
I didn't get mine yet, so.
I think that the letters that are sent to the township due to COVID, that the people want to speak, but they're afraid to come. So they need, I think both letters, all 3 letters should be read.
I agree.
Oh, man, one's really long.
Thank you.
Terry, you want me to read them?
It doesn't matter. You can read the one that was sent to you. Okay. All right. This one is from Mrs. Lynn Henschel. She wrote it to Judd and CC'd us. I'm unable to attend the next Sidney Township Board meeting due to medical issues that would put me at risk if participants are not masked and not able to observe social distancing. I want to be included in the list of those opposed to the development of a wind farm in my neighborhood. My husband and I have made our home on Derby Road for almost 30 years. We do not want to have our peaceful way of life interrupted by wind turbines and the strife I predict will happen as this project moves forward. Most of all, I object to the manner in which your involvement in this project was revealed. I believe it is unethical for you to accept money and sign contracts with Apex when you are in the position to influence township policy. You did not address that fact in your post. I've been to Carson City and St. Louis area, and I cringe every time I have to see the turbines. Every time I am thankful that we don't have to endure that landscape and the consequences to our property values. I understand that your mind is already made up, however, believe this project is being crammed down our throats in a less than transparent manner. I suspect you may already know that this project would not be received warmly, or more emphasis would have been placed on public hearings and input. The donation of cash to the Sidney Park is immaterial. The methodology smells bad. You need to resign from the board and recuse yourself from any board decisions, re this project. Alright, this one is proposal to prevent wind turbines in Sidney Township. And this was also to all of us. In April 2003, my wife and I purchased our cottage at 891 Luann on Nevins Lake. Year-round for the past 17 years, we have enjoyed the tranquil beauty of Nevins Lake and the surrounding areas of the township with family, friends, and neighbors. We have only recently learned this tranquil beauty is in serious jeopardy, both for us and the other residents of our township, as a result of a proposal to prevent wind turbines in Sidney Township. For the reasons set out in this letter, we must object to this proposal. Quite frankly, it is difficult to understand why any township official would consider allowing such a drastic change in our township that benefits only a limited group of property owners while creating a profoundly detrimental impact on so many other residents. Even though there may be some increased tax revenues to the township, county, and schools, those monies will pale in comparison to the funds participating landowners and the energy companies stand to gain. The claim by the proponents of wind turbines that they are trying to save Mother Earth looks much like a smokescreen for some people who want to make a lot of money at the expense of their own neighbors and everyone else in the township. Although I am now retired, I spent most of my professional life as a real estate lawyer representing developers. Seldom, if ever, were government officials swayed by the mere prospects of more tax revenues. They were much more concerned about the overall general welfare of the residents and about preserving their way of life. We have to wonder, why are you even considering such a huge change to our township during a pandemic, when we are being told to avoid large gatherings and when many people are preoccupied with the most divisive election in our nation's history? And why such low visibility on your part? We only learned about this issue less than a week ago as a result of a random comment on the Sidney Township Neighborhood Watch Facebook page. A couple of sentences in your August 2020 minutes, plus an article in the Greenville Daily News that same month, and the posting of notices on the door of the Township Hall are hardly sufficient to reasonably notify Township residents and property owners of the prospects of such a momentous change to our township. We are not being NIMBYs, which is not near my backyard. We don't want wind turbines in anyone's backyard in Sidney Township, period. These things are so huge that erecting even one of these wind turbines anywhere in our township effectively places it in everyone's backyard. With any other commercial or industrial development, the developer would typically be required to adequately screen its project from neighboring residential properties. This would include using parking lot lights that prevent light from shining on neighboring housing and installing sound and visual barriers. However, there is little or nothing that can be done to hide or buffer wind turbines from the adverse visual and auditory impacts on the neighbors. Learn to live with it is simply not an acceptable answer from our elected representatives. Many, if not most, live here to be away from the commercial and industrial development of urban areas. Currently, the township's zoning ordinance and map provide very limited areas for commercial uses and no industrial zones. With this proposed ordinance, we will effectively be promoting industrialization through our township as a rural and agricultural community. And this is primarily why we purchased our cottage on Nevins Lake. We certainly would not have done so if there had been wind turbines anywhere in the area. Lake properties are valued both for the lake frontage and for the view. Who would want to purchase a cottage, or any other residential property for that matter, with a view of a wind farm, and they could easily find a cottage or a residence elsewhere without one. In an article in the September 2015 issue of Forbes magazine, Michael McCann of McCann Appraisals LLC, based in Chicago, was quoted as stating, "Residential property values are adversely and measurably impacted by close proximity of industrial-scale wind energy turbine projects to the residential properties up to 2 miles and a range of 25% to approximately 40% of value loss. Will the energy company agree in your ordinance to compensate township property owners for their value losses? Of course not. We are simply expected to take the hit." Also, we have reviewed the wind energy facility ordinance that we understand is now in place in Gratiot County. Assuming you are contemplating adopting something similar, we would like to point out the following concerns. The Gratiot County ordinance does require the issuance of a wind energy facilities permit prior to the construction and operation of a wind turbine. However, the standards for the issuance of such a permit are not difficult to satisfy. Assuming the applicant provides the necessary documentation, the county is obligated to issue the permit with very little discretion, so long as the minimum setbacks are honored. In this regard, a wind turbine can be as close as 1,000 feet from a habitable structure. This is a far from acceptable distance for a structure, which will be, according to a spokesperson for DTE, nearly 500 feet tall when the tip of a turbine blade is in its highest position. That is the height of a 50-story building. Thinking downtown Chicago, since the tallest building in downtown Grand Rapids is just over 400 feet tall. The Mackinac Bridge towers are only slightly taller at 552 feet, and as most people know, they are visible many miles from Mackinac City, even at night due to the lights at the top of the towers. The wind turbines will also be visible both day and night, since they are typically outfitted with blinking lights necessary to warn off low-flying aircraft. It is also important to note the setback for the wind turbines is from the neighboring habitable structures or occupied buildings. It is not from the boundary line that separates the two properties. This means some significant portion of the neighboring owner's property will be within the setback. As a result, the neighbor's ability to use or develop that portion of their property will be severely limited. Perhaps most significantly, a permit can be issued and construction started without the requirement of a public hearing or any prior notice to the neighboring property owners. Imagine, if you will, the shock neighboring property owners will experience when the trucks start rolling in. The Gratiot County ordinance does place a 30-hour per year limit on the amount of shadow flickering a wind turbine can cause to occupied buildings. As you likely know, shadow flickering is a strobe-like effect experienced by neighboring properties when the moving turbine blades pass between the sun and the neighboring property. However, during those 30 hours, which may occur over the course of several days, portions of the neighboring property may become virtually uninhabitable. All you need to do is search for videos of shadow flickering on the internet to see how invasive this is. If a trespasser stood outside your home shining strobe lights in your windows for even 1 or 2 hours, you'd feel violated. Again, learn to live with it is not an acceptable answer. Gratiot County has also adopted a wind energy overlay district map, which depicts the portions of the county in which wind turbines are permitted. That map shows 6 of the 16 townships in the county are almost entirely included in the overlay district. The only exceptions are for limited exclusionary zones adjacent to rivers and population centers. If Sidney Township follows the same pattern, wind turbines could be placed anywhere in the township where the setback minimums could be met. The Gratiot County ordinance also limits the noise level to 55 decibels of the nearest habitable structure. The energy company may say this should not be a problem for anyone. However, the World Health Organization disagrees. A summary of the WHO community noise guidelines is included in this letter. Those guidelines state that 55 decibels can cause serious annoyance daytime and evening for outdoor living areas, and that decibel levels as low as 30 can cause sleep disturbance during nighttime hours in bedrooms. The noise from operating wind turbines never stops, continues day and night, oscillates up and down as the blades turn, and gets louder as the wind picks up. Is this another nuisance that township residents are simply supposed to learn to live with? And why won't this be a violation of the township's noise ordinance, which makes it unlawful for any person to permit or continue to permit any unreasonably loud, disturbing, or unnecessary noise which either injures or endangers the comfort, repose, health, peace, or safety of others within the limits of the township. The Gratiot County ordinance does include provisions for the decommissioning and removal of turbines when they are no longer operating, and for the posting of a bond to ensure that that happens. Though much of the tower of a turbine may be recyclable, that is not yet true for the blades, which must be placed in landfills. Who is saving Mother Earth from those? Filling landfill space for wind turbine blades has become a huge problem in other states. No doubt, the energy company has provided you with numerous studies that minimize the health risk from living near wind turbines. But will you accept what they tell you as your standard? Information to the contrary from reputable sources is readily available online. In any case, we much more appreciate measure is to focus on the adverse impact wind turbines will have on the way of life and general welfare of Sidney Township residents. Perhaps it goes without saying, any township official who has received or anticipates receiving any financial benefit from the placement of wind turbines within our township should not participate in writing the ordinance and should abstain from voting on it. They should not even discuss it with other township officials in an effort to persuade them. Unfortunately, I'm still recovering from 2 recent major surgeries, so on nights when I will be unable to attend the board meeting on November 9th. No doubt, other township residents and property owners will be in attendance to raise these and other important concerns. Thank you for your time and attention. Robert Scott.
Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, whatever. Repeat that.
Well read.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carrie,
Yeah.
can you attach those to the minutes when they put them online?
Oh, I will ask them to do that. She puts one on.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, you guys notice Brenda's not here tonight. Brenda's sick, so I asked her not to be here tonight. So she went to the doctor today, and
We're waiting for results.
so, another thing, I think I'm sorry we had to come to our park tonight. It's probably gonna get dark, but, I can't have over 15 people in the hall because of the COVID. So I am gonna ask the board tonight we're gonna shut the hall down, and that'll be for Christmas. You know, anybody that's got the hall rented will refund your money, but we're gonna shut it down until February 1st until we see what's gonna happen. If it clears up, we will, but we got quite a few cases around Sidney Township right now, so we're gonna shut it down, and then I'd like a motion to pay the bills until February 1st.
I make a motion that, we don't use the hall for any functions and any of our meetings until February 1st. A motion to, pay the bills while we're closed.
Can we make that 2 separate motions here?
Yeah, yeah.
One for paying the bills and one for function.
Hey, are you gonna second one of them?
I'll second paying the bills.
Okay, motion been seconded on the one to pay the bills. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carried.
So I guess I can support the other motion to close the hall.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. We close the hall, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
You get the name?
Yep. Got it.
Um,
Can I just make a comment from these letters?
yes.
I spent several hours this week looking on the computer at some of the comments, at YouTubes. I have not made up my mind that I'm gonna push this through. I just want you to know, we're trying to investigate it, we're trying to look at it. We've been talking to the MTA people, the legal issues. We need to see an attorney, so we know what our next step is. But we have not all made up our decision.
But
just
the
so you
thing
know.
is,
We're
it's
trying to
not the
investigate
board's
it.
decision, it's the township people's
We
decision,
don't want it.
not the board.
I know, I
Exactly.
know that, but with the only way to get it to a vote, from what they've told me, is that you pass the ordinance, and then you can do a referendum, and then it can go on the ballot,
But if it's passed, what's it take to get it revoked?
a vote. Just like we did the marijuana, you know, we did the ordinance for that, but I'm not sure.
I
We
mean,
got,
another thing, Daily News is here, I hope they print, because the notes from August said there was 11 townships involved in this apex. everybody I talk to knows nothing about the wind turbines. I mean, this is trying to get shoveled in underneath of everybody.
Most of us just heard about it on Facebook last week.
Why does the
Okay,
public?
well, let's
I
wait
would
till we,
like to know why
wait
I
a
saw
minute,
more about cleanup than I did about this.
let's wait till we get the citizen comments before we,
Okay, all right, should've waited.
Yeah.
well, just a moment,
Nothing needs to be passed.
We've got-
Everybody wants it.
we've got a couple.
The only ones on the board that want it, nobody out here does.
It's not so,
Oh,
it's not
no,
so,
no.
there's people here that want it.
Saying that,
Don't go saying that.
that.
Nobody here on this board
You
is
gotta
saying
listen to everybody.
they want
You
it.
already had one take money.
So,
Have you heard from the rest
Not
of us
right
yet?
either.
Small town.
Okay, let's go to the sheriff's report. He don't have a report yet tonight.
No,
So,
but he's here.
he's here if you guys got any questions for him. All right. Our guest speaker tonight, Albert, for the wind thing. You want to come up, Albert? Is he? Are you here?
The